Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, Dave. Big win for the boys in a swing game in the series.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. We've had a lot of out-of-town friends in this weekend for an event, and they're all, of course, asking me what I think, and I just have told them consistently the same thing. I say I think the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup. I see a really serious veteran team that knows how to win, but they still got to do it, and I'm still on the edge of my chair every game. So, but I really believe it, Kurt. They're going to win the Cup.
Yeah, well,
And go ahead.
both you and I at the outset of the series gave full props to Dallas. I think both you and I think they're a terrific hockey team.
And they are.
Yeah, and it was going to take a great effort by the Oilers to beat them in the series, and it still will. But boy,
Yes.
winning that game 3 is massive.
It is massive. And they haven't won this, right? And I
Nope.
actually think Dallas is the hardest team to beat. That's my personal belief, that it's the hardest team. And I know a lot of people believe it's Florida. I believe it's Dallas.
Interesting.
Dallas is a fantastic hockey team.
They are.
And tonight overall, Kurt, the grade A shots, although it was a 6-1 game, the grade A shots were 19-14 for the Stars, with the subset of 5 alarm shots, 7-6 for Dallas. So the Oilers had, it was almost the same number of the best scoring chance shots, grade A shots, or 5 alarm shots. But in terms of overall traffic, it was 19-14. And the Oilers had actually the last 5 grade A shots. So it was 19-11 until that period in the game. Kurt, 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers, because it was a huge win. Game 3, I mean, they're all big wins in the playoffs. It's like such a nothing thing to say it's another big win, but they're all big in the playoffs. 2 good things each. What's your first good thing?
Yeah, well, first of all, on game 3 being a big game, well, it is, right? Because the whole point of earning a split in Dallas is you take home ice advantage back temporarily, but that means squat if you don't come back and win at home, which is why that game 3 win is so big. My good thing is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. We talked about it a little bit after the podcast after the last game, that halfway through the season, I think we both thought that the Nuge had lost half a step, and his drop in production point wise certainly was indicative of a guy in his mid 30s who is still a really good NHL player, but was maybe on the back side of his career. Well, he has been good to excellent in these playoffs. And in fact, in this series, he's been spectacular. He has 7 points in the three games so far and had 3 assists tonight. Critical plays on all 3 goals. But what I want to point out is the heavy hit that he took into the end boards from Bischel. And Nugent-Hopkins, after that one opportunity, and he just missed scoring on that play. He had 2 swats at the puck, but he went hard into the end boards. And as soon as he went in and slumped down, I went, separated shoulder. It's first thing I thought. It's like,
that's what I thought, because he had one early in his career too, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I know there's lots of people that are giving Bischel dog lips for that play, and while there's a few penalties he should have been called on that one, I don't think so. I don't think it was a dirty play. His hands were on, but I didn't think he was pushed from behind overtly into the end boards, but he did go in hard. And if you start to think of the Oilers' chances going forward without a player like Nugent-Hopkins, who touches all facets of the game in a significant way, that would be a massive loss. The fact that he picked himself up, got back to the bench, then went to the room on 2 different occasions and came back and then finished the game. We kind of joked last podcast about Nuge has found his man strength. Well, there's no better testament than that, right? I guarantee you he wasn't feeling 100% after that ride into the end boards, but gutted it out, finished the game. Tremendous postseason performance. It's easy to argue that Nugent-Hopkins was the Oilers' best forward tonight. Great, gritty performance from the longest tenured Oiler.
Yeah, really nice pass on that first goal, eh? comes into the zone. Like Hyman made a great play at the blue line to run a little interference there.
Yep.
And then he went to the net, which is he always does. And then Nuge, darts over to the side and puts it back to Bouchard for the shot. And just a really nice, typical, smooth, great little play by Nugent-Hopkins. Do you remember Klingberg's goal? I was busy grading then, and I was kind of watching it out of the, it's a 6-1 goal. Was that a top shelf goal too? Do you remember? Do you recall?
I don't think it was top shelf. It was off the ice. Yes,
it was screened heavily screened.
Yeah, first shot through traffic, and just a terrific play by Draisaitl leading up to it. Like, my God, what a commanding performance that was. But yeah, it was like glove knee level sort of.
So 4 of the goals, both of McDavid's goals and both of Hyman's goals, were top shelf, where Mama keeps the cookies. Mama ain't got no more cookies after this game, Kurt, because they just kept beating Ottinger again and again and again. But the backbreaker goal was that first one. They talk about in every game how important it is. It really is important. It sets the tone for the game. And when you score a goal like that, and I've talked about this many times, the dreaded Californian, the outside shot screened by someone in front of the net. In this case, it was a great flyby screen for McDavid on Bouchard's shot on that first goal. And Ottinger just lets in a goal that shouldn't go in. It's a hard shot along the ice. He'd normally have it, but he couldn't see it. So I find, and it reminded me of Heiskanen's goal in game 1, start of the third period. When you let in a goal like that, it is so deflating. It hurts so much. And I think it's the whole bench is just totally down. It's not like it's just like, oh God. And right away they scored another one. They just came down the ice essentially and popped in another one right away.
Yeah, we were talking about Nugent-Hopkins. That was that lovely give and go with McDavid for the 2-0.
Yeah.
Right? So
great pass and a great shot. But what a shot by McDavid on that one.
Upstairs, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So again, Ottinger top shelf. Both sides they beat him on different goals. So I think they know that Big Jake likes to go down. He's huge covering the bottom of the net. Maybe if you shoot high. I mean, these are just great shots. A lot of them are great shots. And I think actually McDavid's second goal, which was the 3-1 goal and the real backbreaker in a lot of ways. The other backbreaker, I should say, the kill shot, that might have gone in off Lindell, I thought. Possibly it might have deflected a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure. Nuge, he's playing really well in these playoffs. It was funny. His big play another big play from Nuge comes early in the third period. And I'm going to segue to my good thing, which is Zack Hyman. And the Oilers, Hyman has just actually made his worst play. He's kicked the puck into the Oilers' own zone. And there's a massive offensive foray by Dallas at that moment with at least one. I think there's actually 2 really dangerous chances from Seguin, both from Tyler Seguin in the slot. And they almost score. And Nuge kind of allows the passes at both on both of the shots. But right at the end of that, Kane manages to get it out. They bap it back in, but it goes to Nuge, and he's got to be on his last breath because he's totally gassed. But he manages to hack that puck down the ice perfectly to Zack Hyman, who's breaking in. And a great goal. Hyman, we were talking about Oilers MVP. Evan Bouchard had another brilliant game, great game.
He did.
So I think he is the leading candidate right now. He's, but Hyman, he had again 9 hits, Kurt. He was +5 on goals. He scored 2 goals on, Kane set him up a bit later on another break-in where he chopped it in above the glove side on Ottinger, top shelf. He's having himself one hell of a playoffs. He has played this well in the past, and he's put up more points in the past. I think they need to get him back on the top power play right now. Corey Perry, to me, is struggling a little overall. He's slowing down. He could probably use a game off, but it probably won't happen.
You said that all season.
He's not well, and we were right often, I think.
Yeah.
It's not an incorrect thing, but they're not going to do that. And with Connor, we'll see what happens with Connor Brown. But anyway, Hyman's just been fantastic. And if he puts up more points, he will have a chance at the Conn Smythe. McDavid will have obviously a shot. Draisaitl will have a shot if he picks it up again in terms of scoring. He's been pretty quiet as of late, playing on mainly a checking line. But Bouchard's the front runner, and I think Hyman's in second. What would you say?
Yeah, well, I think you've named the four guys who would be in the running, and I think all are pretty close right now. But I do think that Bouchard has a nose out front. With Hyman, there was a case where the points and the goals weren't coming early for him, but that's when a player has to go, okay, if I'm not scoring, what else am I doing to help my team win? And he put his head down and just said, well, I'm going to run right through everybody on the ice. But the funny thing, when you do something like that, good things happen, right? If you and I talk about good process all the time. Zach Hyman is one of the Oilers who plays with tremendous process. He is so consistent, game in and game out. And in a playoff like this, he's been so consistently hardworking and on the body that when you have such great process, eventually you're going to get some bounces and things are going to start to go right for you. And the 2 goals tonight is maybe a sign of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only thing you control as a player is you don't control the goals and the assists. And we've made the point sometimes there's a bit of luck involved in that particular aspect of the game, whether you score or not. But he sure finished off nicely tonight. Kurt, what is your second good thing?
My second thing is the bench management by Chris Knobloch tonight. I thought it was really smart and a little bit difficult because of the loss of Connor Brown, which we're going to get to in a minute. But down to forward, Chris Knobloch really kind of had to spread the ice time around a little bit. And the interesting thing tonight, now it was a 6-1 game, but as you alluded to, it wasn't 6-1 all night. This was a tight game. Until later in the third period. But there was only one Oiler tonight that played over 20 minutes, and that was Darnell Nurse, who was at 21:37. Everybody else McDavid was just over as well at 21:25. So there was just 2. Everybody else was under 20 minutes tonight. Leon Draisaitl at 19:45. But other guys like Evander Kane, who I thought this was a great game for Evander Kane to play because I thought Dallas was way more physical tonight, and Kane is one of those guys who can match that. Had 2 assists, including that lovely feed to Zach Hyman. What a pass that was. But, Kane played almost 18 minutes, which is a postseason high for him. And Trent Frederick, who I think both you and I have felt is starting to come, he's starting to move his feet better. Frederick played 12-10 tonight, which I think is a postseason high for him as well. And when you look at the blue line, the high end was Nurse at 21:37, but the low end was Troy Stetcher at 17:43. So Coffee,
really nice.
So Coffee pretty much rolled 6D, right? So when Matthias Ekholm is healthy and ready to go, it's going to be a really hard choice who to pull out, which is a choice that you want to have, right? You don't, if it's an easy choice, then you've been cheating death. If it's a tough choice, it means your 6 in there have been playing really well.
Troy Stetcher's been playing really well. I thought he was better than Darnell Nurse tonight in the game. He's more active, moving the puck. He made fewer mistakes on grade A shots than Nurse. It's just who are you going to take out? Like I think you take out your most injured player. But there's no one by eye who's really lagging because of any injury. Everyone looks like they're pretty solid right now. So
well,
I'd hate to see Stetcher come out because he's just playing really well. I think I've made the point before, Kurt, and I will make it again. And we disagreed last time.
Yeah.
You do not put in a player who is 75% or 80%, even if it's Matthias Ekholm. You wait because your defense is playing fantastic, although they did let it 19 grade A shots, but it wasn't so much. I thought maybe Nurse had a rough night in his own zone, but all the other defensemen tonight were really solid in their own zone. I didn't think it was on the defense, and they are passing it so well. So if Ekholm's up for that great passing game that he can also play in, yeah, I can see putting him in then. Let's be honest, it's going to be Stetcher. So, but he's got to be mobile. He can't be the player that came back in late March and was good for a game or 2, as I recall, and then went out again hurt. He wasn't ready. Be ready and wait till he's ready. Give him all the time he needs, because every day if it's a groin injury, that helps. Like every day helps.
So 2 things. One, I initially reported that injury late in the season um, for Matthias Ekholm was a different injury than the one before. Other people argued that. I can confirm it was a different injury. It was not the exact same thing.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
so that's one thing.
Can
Two,
you say what they were, Kurt, or is that off the record?
I
That
should
was
not.
off the record.
That
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 was
would
off the record.
that
Okay.
wouldn't be fair. I
No,
have
no,
not
no.
been
If it's
told
off
I
the
can
record,
say
it's
that.
off the record. Yeah,
I
you
have
got
not been told I can say that publicly.
Okay.
But I have a wrinkle for you. You know, maybe when you do bring Ekholm back in, it's smart to go 11-7, because let's say Ekholm does get in and he has a malfunction again. Well, then you don't have to play a game with 5D in the playoffs. And on a team with McDavid and Draisaitl, there's no problem going with 11 forwards, really. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So,
Probably not.
so there is a scenario that I'm fascinated to see if they do that, especially given the fact that Troy Stetcher has not given them a reason to take him out other than he's the 7D.
Nice Stetcher, nice block tonight. Nice break up in the slot. Some very like high profile defensive stops.
Yep.
I don't like 11-7. I like, we've talked about this again, 3 pairings, 3 set pairings. And, you know, the more Coffey sticks with it, I think the better coach Paul Coffey is. It seems like a no-brainer because those 3 pairings do really well together. And then when he mixes it up, like mixes and matches, I don't know why he's doing it now and then. Sometimes it's because of line changes and changing on the fly. But when you're sticking with the 3 pairings they have now, they're excelling. And I think, in fact, I think the goal came when it wasn't one of the 3 pairings. I think it was, could be wrong. I think it was Kulak and Nurse on the ice, but I might be incorrect about that. Anyway, I don't like 11-7, but I do like Matthias Ekholm if he's healthy playing. As soon as I would prefer they just bite the bullet, go. If he's ready to play, he should be ready to play. And wait till he's healthy, then put him in and go 12-6. I like the 4 lines and I like the 3 pairs of defensemen because when you get 11-7 and that's mixing and matching stuff again, and it leads to, I think, confusion out there.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. You and I often disagree on things, yet we're always friends at the end of the day. So isn't that how the world is supposed to work?
It is, Kurt, and it's how it worked for about the first 50 years of my life, generally speaking.
Join the club.
Came social media.
Yeah.
And the intense partisan battles that seem to, like, everyone seems to form into factions and camps. Yes. And there's,
I'm sure we could exchange notes.
Crap talking.
Yeah.
And we're all like, listen, I'm not above it. Like everyone's involved in this. Anyone on social, almost everyone. Like there's a few people. Like Bruce was actually really good at kind of keeping it.
He was one of the more level-headed people.
Yeah,
I've
it's
ever
like
met.
Saint Bruce because he was able to do that, but very few other people.
The honorable member for Switzerland, Mr. McCurdy.
Although I do feel as people are getting more used to it and generally tuning out all the noise. I think people are getting better at handling social media. That's my take. It's not as bad as it used to be 10 years ago. And it's people are just, they know if you don't like it, tune it out, which is a good thing to do.
Yep.
Okay. Am I now on I'm on my second good thing, correct?
Your second good thing. Yeah.
Which was Stuart Skinner. I do think you can make an argument he stole the game with his brilliant play.
Even in a 6-1 game.
Yeah, and in the second period, man, he was so good. He was so good. And what a great thing to see. Yeah, it was his best game of the playoffs. You know, he has 19 grade A shots directed at him, Kurt. You're expecting 4 or 5 goals on that. Probably more like 4 because the high alarm count, the 5 alarm count wasn't that high. So let's say 4 goals. He let in 1. I mean, he lets in 4 goals. This is a game. Like, this is like game on. This is an overtime right now.
Yeah.
And probably. And what a fantastic game. Rebound game. He's it's interesting, like the Oilers defense as a 5-man unit did let in a lot of grade A shots, but Dallas was fanatical. Like they needed to win this. I think they felt they really needed to bounce back after the loss. They probably should have lost the first game on merit in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So they needed a win. They needed to come back hard, and they did. They really poured it on. And who was there but Stuart Skinner? He was stopping everything. And there was one, there was some. We'll get to some of it. One shot in particular in the first period, but man, The Oilers, to their credit, didn't allow, the point I was going to make is they didn't allow a lot of cross seam. There was some, but there wasn't a lot of breakaways, and there wasn't a lot of odd man rushes, and there wasn't a lot of cross seam. There was a lot of what I call low high passes, where the guy's below the line, the goal line, and he passes it out to the high slot area. Really tough for goalies. These are very difficult shots, but Stu is good on those where he's facing the shooter. Any shot that comes in initially where Stuart Skinner isn't moving in a square to the shooter, he's one of the best goalies in the NHL on those shots.
Agree.
You get him moving, he's not one of the best goalies. So the goal of the defense of the Oilers is to be structured and don't allow those open men to be open. Look for the danger man, cover the danger man. Don't allow the danger man, the guy creeping in on the odd man rush, or to make it creeping into the slot to score. And I think Edmonton, despite having so many grade A shots against, did a fairly good job of that, at least.
My eye test matches your numbers. I didn't see as many cross seam passes either. There were two in the first period. One hit the post, and the other one Stuart Skinner got across on and made a great save on early in the game.
Hit Rantanen and went off the post, which
Where have you gone?
Changed everything.
Go Rantanen.
The beast hit the post. Good.
Yes, Stu made save 20 of 21. At one point in the second period, and two saves in particular outside of that Rantanen one stuck with me. The one was the glove save off Duchesne. And while it looked like a spectacular glove save, what it really was a great positional save, because he was set and high and right on top of the blue paint. So he didn't give Duchesne that much to shoot at. The other one, and you see this all the time in games, was the blocker save he made on Seguin, that then Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman turned around into the 4-1 goal. You know, you just miss one at one end and you go down and score at the other. Through the decade of darkness, how many hundreds of times did that feel like it happened to us as Oilers fans? Well, now the shoe's on the other foot, but that Hyman goal doesn't get scored if Skinner doesn't stop Seguin with his blockers. So
I'll point out two more, Kurt. There was Esta Lindell got a slot pass. Draisaitl turned it over and on the boards in the second period, and Lindell got a slot shot, kind of high-ish in the slot, but there was a heavy screen that Skinner had to fight through to stop it. It was a really difficult shot that he fought through. And then early in the third, Wyatt Johnston broke in and drove by Wallman, and the puck was kind of deflected up, and then he put it off. Skinner had to go across the net, and it was right off his pad. Johnson put it off his pad. Actually, I think it hit the post, then off Skinner's pad.
It did hit the pad and then the post.
Yeah,
acrobatic of him to be able to keep his strength, really, right?
There's still a save there. The post plays a part in it, but so does Stuart Skinner.
Absolutely.
And then those shots on Seguin had two wicked slot shots right in a row, and he got both of them. So that first one, I'm going to just segue to my bad thing. Go out of order here for a second one because we're kind of on this. The first.
I'll just interject that I assume that the apology letters to Stuart Skinner are in the mail from all of his doubters. So.
They don't. Yeah, that is never going to happen. And he's hot and cold. So when he's cold, the doubters come out. And when the Oilers are structured, Stuart Skinner's good or good to great. And when the Oilers are not, then look out. The first one was this brilliant save, and this is my bad thing. It's Connor McDavid's play on this play. The puck comes around the boards in the Oilers' end to Nugent-Hopkins on the kind of high boards on the wall, and he loses the battle. But it wouldn't be that big a deal because Connor McDavid is he's a center, and it's a 50-50 puck battle between Nugent and his guy. Nugent hasn't won it, but Connor McDavid has flown by like a rocket out of his own zone. He is nowhere to be seen, and they break in on a 3-on-1 down low and put the puck across Rantanen, I think it is, to Colin Blackwell, who fortunately the pass either gets tipped a little bit by the shooter in front of the net. I think Wallman might be covering him, and it might get tipped a little bit, but it doesn't go right to Blackwell. He's got to stretch to recover the puck. He gets the puck. That gives Stuart Skinner just enough time to fly over to the other side of the net, and it kind of hits him under the arm, hits him on the body, almost goes in twice on the shot, but he manages to keep it out. It is a brilliant, great save. But, uh, it's the kind of defensive mistake the Oilers made in the decade of darkness and when they got knocked out of the playoffs in previous years. And hockey's a game of mistakes. So I'm not asking them to be perfect. But the captain of the team, the one who wants to set the tone defensively now, and I know they don't want him to sacrifice any of his great attacking prowess, but it was a bad read. Like, Nuge does not have full control of the puck. He shouldn't be charging out, flying by as if Nuge is going to win that. And it almost cost an early goal against, down 1-0 if that goes in.
Yeah, and the ironic thing is the Oilers have actually done a pretty good job of leaving their F3 high in this series. Like that's a subtle change in defensive tactics by them. And for the most part, it has given Dallas all sorts of trouble exiting their zone and through the neutral zone. It's worked. It's a very sound defensive tactic. But that was one example where if you let your guard down for a second, even if letting your guard down means an instinct to chase down a puck or to break for open ice, it can turn in the other direction really fast.
With the F3 high, you're talking about the offensive zone?
Yes.
Yeah. So this was a defense. This was a breakout play, but you're right. They've done a great job of limiting odd man rushes by keeping one forward diligently getting back and the defenseman quickly getting back.
Yeah.
I'm always watching the TV screen looking for F3.
Yeah.
Get back, back off. Like, and if it's a defenseman rushing, like, get back in your position. You've done your rush, now hustle back. Don't just coast back. And generally speaking, it's been okay.
The two guys who've been great at that, Leon Draisaitl has been great at that, and so has Adam Henrique. Both those players have really adopted that tactic and have been strong in that area.
I also want to, second part of my bad thing though is Draisaitl, because again, as a leading player on the team, this is early in the second period, and he's just slow to make the read in his own zone, and an Oilers defenseman gets isolated on a 2-on-1 because he's late to cover his player Steele, who goes to the net and gets two shots right in tight on Skinner, and Skinner stops them both. And it's because Leon's just been asleep at the wheel and let his man, the player he's got to cover, go hard to the net, and Leon's 2 or 3 strides behind. He just was not totally zoned in on defense. And again, maybe I do hold these guys to a high standard. They want to win. We all know they want to win the cup. They win the cup if they play championship defense. It is as simple as that. If they do that, they're better than the other teams in other aspects of the game. They need to play championship defense to win the cup. And if they early in a game, in a tight game, if you're making mistakes like that, just bad reads, that's not good. That's not good enough. It's not championship defense. It could cost you the Stanley Cup if you do that consistently enough. Don't do it.
I agree. But here's the fact about what we do here at the Cult of Hockey. We focus on the Oilers. But I can tell you in this series, the Oilers forwards have been better defensively than the Dallas forwards have been.
Could well be, Kurt.
So these guys rightly get critiqued on those plays. I don't disagree with those at all. My eyes saw what you saw. What we don't spend a lot of time talking about are the defensive mistakes that the other guys forwards make. So.
Yeah. I did like Draisaitl got a really hard hit on Leon Bichsel in the first. That was kind of
a reverse hit, and just put him right on his ass. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
That Bischel's going to be a monster player, I think.
He's gonna, he'll. As his skating improves, I like him too. I think
he's like 21. He's huge. He's going to get better. That's a hell of another great draft pick from the Dallas Stars scouts. Like, man, what a find. That guy is a monster player, I think. Like, he looks to me like the real deal, even though I hated his play on Frederick, but we can get to that in a moment. What's your bad thing, Kurt?
Well, my bad thing is the injury to Connor Brown. And when this was the hit by the former Oiler, Petrovic. And there were some people that were complaining that it was a late hit. It wasn't that late, to be honest with you. Maybe a hair late, sure. But what for sure I believed is that hit was high.
Oh yeah,
and
I even
And I didn't need a slow motion replay to tell me that.
No.
As soon as you went into it, I said, that's a high hit. And I just assumed that there was a call in the play, and I was shocked that there wasn't. And I don't want to sound like a Dallas Stars, fan and say, oh, there should be a major, there should be a suspension. What there should have been was a call on the play. That was a high hit, and that should have been whistled down. And now I don't know if Connor Brown said to the referee, why wasn't that a penalty, or what's my name and where am I? Because he really got buried. But it should have been a call. It was totally a penalty. Where you take it from there is up for debate. But here's the real worrisome thing now. Connor Brown's been great in these playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, the guy scored 5 goals. He's great on the penalty kill. This is the Connor Brown we hoped we were getting when we signed him. But initially I thought, well, maybe the spotter just took him out. Maybe that was the case. But the spotter didn't keep him out. He either didn't pass his tests or whatever, but he did not come back. And so you can now logically doubt whether he'll be available for Game 4, which will lead to speculation as to who should come into his place. Injuries happen to both teams. We saw Rupe Hintz not play tonight, but just like there was a call made on Darnell Nurse on this play, there should have been a call on Alex Petrovic on the hit to Connor Brown, and there was not.
And I just think it was always such a long shot on a slashing play to the lower body that there would be like a suspension.
100%.
But the NHL is going after headshots. This was a clear shoulder to the face, like right to the face.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't some kind of hearing tomorrow, at least, on this. I think there will be. That was a really dangerous headshot, and the NHL doesn't want. And they rightly are trying to get rid of that hit from the game.
Yes,
because they don't want a bunch of guys in their 50s and 60s with post-concussion syndrome, which ruins their life. Like, it destroys their life.
Which is happening now, right?
Which is happening now, right? All these guys who played all these years. So that's the kind of hit they're trying to take away. Everyone agrees. No one disagrees. All the GMs, I think, NHLPA, we don't want that hit in the game anymore. That was that hit. And, if they had thrown him out of the game, that would be I don't know what, I haven't looked online to see if there's much discussion about that, but it is a suspendable hit, maybe a game, maybe just a fine. But the
fact that it wasn't a call is just kind of head shaking.
I don't think that like in terms of suspension, that doesn't matter because they do look at things again. Now, maybe if I go back and look at the replay again, but I watched it a couple times and I'm pretty sure that we're getting this right. Like, that was a kind of shocking hit. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was a high hit and a penalty all day long.
Yeah,
for sure.
Then Bischel puts Frederick into the post, which was a dirty, stupid play that should have been penalized.
Yeah, Kelly Sutherland didn't decide to manage this game until it was like 6-1 and 90 seconds left. He took a sweet time to start calling some of those, like the initial Jamie Benn hit on Zack Hyman. Jamie Benn you love him if he's on your team, but he's such a dick when he's on the other team. But it was eventually the young defenseman got called instead for doing the exact same thing to Hyman that Ben had just done.
There's no love in this series after the Nurses slash. Like, nope. They're going after each other and trying to hurt each other.
Yeah, but don't you think
they just did, right? Like, Petrovic just did.
But don't you think there's been a distinct lack of response from Dallas? Like if our best player got injured and couldn't play the next game, wouldn't Edmonton be screaming for some sort of response? And really, what direct response did we see tonight? When I saw the opening lineups and I saw Nurse on the ice and I saw Ben on the ice, I said, okay, here we go. But nothing. Right?
Oh, you thought there might be like a fight. I thought Dallas did respond.
All the big talk, David, didn't materialize.
Dallas did respond with a number of cheap shots, like Bischel's pushing Frederick into the net. Bouchard got hacked right on the hand hard as he's going in the third period. It's in garbage time by then anyway, and the hit on Brown that knocks him out of the game. Like, that's. I thought it was, and Ben's hit. I think it was more of a nasty game from Dallas tonight. They were playing dirty for the first time, and it's playoff hockey, so Can't say too much about it, but it's up to the refs to control that and the league to control it. And now we'll see if the NHL acts. So,
yep, fair enough.
Your number, Kurt.
My number is 7. The Oilers now have 7 players who have scored 5 goals or more in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Cool.
A couple years ago, when the Oilers lost to Vegas, the case was made at the time was that this was a 2-man team. And if McDavid and Draisaitl didn't score, you didn't win. And as much as it hurt to have that said about your team, I think it was ultimately true. Fast forward 2 years later, you're seeing scoring up and down this lineup. And, we talked a lot about how we felt that depth won the series against Vegas, and I think it did. At least it was one of the major factors. And it's hard to argue that it hasn't been a significant factor in this series as well, with the goals that you see scoring tonight, like Klingberg, puts one in tonight. It's
Hyman with 2.
Hyman with
2. So we have Bouchard and Draisaitl 6 each.
Yep.
Tied at 5. Perry, Brown, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, and McDavid, all with 5 goals each. And Evander Kane has 4 and Henrique has 3. Mm-hmm. So there's this very close group of forwards all scoring. It was nice to see that said. It was nice to see McDavid just come alive and scorch them. I was picking on him there for a major defensive mistake. He had some others, or he hadn't had others as well. I wouldn't have done that, but he had a number of them, smaller ones. But on the attack, I mean, he was unreal. He just cranked it up and destroyed Jake Ottinger with his shooting this time. And man, he's going. And the other teams are kind of lucky he doesn't have more points because he's pouring it on the attack. He's looking real good.
Well, I wrote in 9 Things this morning that McDavid is actually leading the NHL or in 4 or 5 different attacking categories, but the puck just hadn't been going in for him relative to other years. But I think my line was, but it's coming.
Well, it is, right?
Surprise! A few hours later, yeah. The greatest player in the world proves me prophetic. Thanks, Connor. Pretty easy guy to place a bet on.
So, Kurt, my number has to do with the grade A shots in the game and the kind of the flow of the game. So after Edmonton scored those 2 goals, bang, bang, the Californian from outside screened, and then McDavid's great passing play with Nuge, give and go with McDavid's slamming it home, top shelf. That's 5:22 left in the first period. Until then, from that moment until about 1.5 minutes left in the second period, it's a 2-0 game. So this is like a 23, 24 minute stretch of the game. Dallas had 15 grade A shots in that time, and Edmonton had 2.
Wow.
15-2. Dallas scored once on 15 grade A shots. You'd expect 3 or 4 goals, and they scored just once. And that's why I say Stuart Skinner was so key to the outcome of this game. He was on fire, and then the kill shot, McDavid scoring, charging in there again and scoring. Bouchard wins a battle at the blue line, and McDavid goes and scores. And that was the brutal moment. The 20 seconds left in the period for that. But there had been one grade A shot just before that by Nuge. Frederick had rushed in to break it all up. Frederick had rushed in and gotten on Ottinger, and Nuge had almost put it in. But 15-2, Stuart Skinner, way to go, man! It would be interesting to see like the people who have blasted him the most, what they're saying right now. But again, a lot of it is fair comment. When he's cold, he's so cold that it's hard not to weigh in with some negative verbiage.
Sure, but the guy took them to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final last year. By the way, the 3 stars of the game tonight was Skinner was first, Hyman was second, and Nugent-Hopkins was third. And I think that's probably pretty close to right.
We're on the same page with them. And it was interesting, McDavid wasn't. And I don't know if they were paying attention to his defensive play, but there were, as I said, I tracked 5 grade A shots where he made a major mistake.
Yeah.
at even strength. So that's way too many for a center. And he would probably, like he said, it was him. I heard his interview. He said it's a wonky game. We had some problems on defense, and he was part of that, and he'll take care of that. I mean, he at his best, he's been actually playing really, really good two-way hockey. This wasn't normal for him in these playoffs. He's been doing his part, generally speaking, as a defensive player, especially as against Vegas and Dallas. I'm sure he'll crank it up again.
A couple things for me before we close. I thought it was notable tonight, one call and one non-call. First of all was the non-call. Brett Kulak, that puck did go over the glass without touching anything. That absolutely should have been a penalty. The Oilers caught a break on that, and they scored the 1-0 goal. So for all the Dallas Stars saying that we're homers, and we are, but that should have been a penalty against the Oilers. The Oilers caught a break. But what I'll say is the high sticking call against Kasperi Kapanen on Mikko Rantanen was the wrong call. Rantanen's own stick came up and hit him in the face.
That's true.
And if the referees had called that by the textbook instead of what Kelly Sutherland thought he saw, then that wouldn't have been whistled. And I wonder if they changed that rule in the off season, because you can review if it's a major, but not if it isn't a major. But why not review it either way? Like, do you want to get the call right or don't you? You know, and I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the referee went up later in the game and apologized to Kapanen because he realized he did get the play wrong. But the referee, it's not within his call to review it. He either sees it or he doesn't, right? So what I would say about those two calls is, look, the Oilers caught a break and took advantage of it. Dallas caught a break and didn't. And that helped decide the game.
So I agree with what you said on that, except for the video review part. I hate all video review except on goals. And I don't think you should have any video review except on a goal, period. I don't care if they get it wrong or right. If it's offside or out or whatever, you go with the call on the ice. They got two refs, they got two linesmen. There's four sets of eyes there. Go with them. From the fan experience. And I say this as someone, like, I used to love the NBA, and then I tuned into a recent NBA game, and it was like there was a video, then there's another video, like all these little things that were going on. There was video reviews. I just thought, this is a nightmare. Basketball was slow enough with all their timeouts and this and that and the other thing. Don't slow down the game for the fans. Keep it going. And I know, like, well, if you can get it right, get it right. No, let's just put it in its proper spot. And goals are big enough that I'm okay with I like the video reviews. It's interesting. Is that a goal or not? Like, that makes sense to me. All these other little plays, you could review every play. Like, if you're going to be fair about it, like, what's the difference between did he trip him or not? Did he elbow him or not? You know, it's always a judgment call. So all these other little judgment calls that aren't goals, they're all, in my mind, kind of equally significant. And, you know, some have a bigger consequence, like shooting the puck out it's a 2-minute penalty automatically. But so is elbowing, so is tripping, so is slashing, 2 minutes. Don't review any of that and get rid of the offside. That's what I would prefer.
Two quick things for me. One, it turned out better for the Oilers that Rantanen turned out better rather for Dallas that Rantanen wasn't bleeding.
Yeah, why?
Right. Well, because it was a major, they would have reviewed it, and there would have been no penalty at all.
That's true. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, they do review it sometimes with the blood possibility of blood.
Yeah, but there was no blood, so there wasn't. My final point, because I feel your pain, but I think the speed of the game is such is that increasingly, I don't think officials can keep up anymore. And I see in the next 2 to 5 years, I see cameras on high getting way more involved in the officiating of games, because I just think human eyes increasingly can't catch everything anymore.
How about this? Have a ref on the ice and a ref in the crowd.
Yep.
With the video, going over the video in real time.
Yep.
Fast.
And put time limits on the reviews.
Yeah, like super fast, and then like
30 seconds, you're out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe that's it. All right, Kurt. Well, we can hash that out in the off season. Big Oilers win. Thanks for talking tonight.
Always a pleasure.
And in the meantime, and in between times, and until we meet again, Bruce McCurdy in the Hall of Our Fathers, having a cold one with the Hockey Gourds. This has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.